where the wild things are and the sign maker's assistant. This is a start of a new tradition at Phoenicia. We'd like to do this each year. What's going to happen is Mrs. White and myself are going to read a classic children's tale, and the students are going to act it out. They have been working really hard the last few months on costumes and props and scenes, and even staying after school in some cases to put things together. Even some parents volunteering to stay after and put things together. So it's been a few months in progress, and it's all for show for you here today. Okay, so I hope you're excited about what you're going to see. We did a show this morning and it got really good reviews. Everybody's been really thrilled. So if it goes half as good as this morning, then this afternoon will be a success also. I just want to make sure that I thank certain people. First and foremost, the Onteora Teachers Association makes a grant available each year, up to $200 to buy supplies for things just like this. So I want to thank them, first of all, for putting up the money for a lot of the supplies that you'll see today. I also want to thank Mrs. Weiss, our art teacher, who unfortunately has a class now, so she's not able to watch the show. But she put in a lot of hours and ideas and stayed with us and helped us come up with our costumes and everything. So she did a really fabulous job too. I want to thank Mrs. White for going along with this idea. So, you know, she's had fun. We've all had fun with it. I also want to thank a lot of my parents, particularly Sarah Laughlin, for putting together a couple of costumes that you'll see Max and the puppy's costume in the first play were handmade by her, and they're really incredible. And also her husband Brian for staying after, and Mr. Sheldon for staying after and helping out. Laura Siegel stayed after one night to help out. Hold on, where's my list? Yuki Asada and Rebecca Shim and her daughter Jazara stayed after also to help. So I want to make sure I thank those people for staying. Also, all the behind-the-scenes stuff today. You'll Mrs. Hoy, Lori Hoy, Issa Warren, who else? Oh, Kyle Barrian for setting up the chairs, Patrick Burkhart for helping him. Who else? Robin Oswald, some behind-the-scenes stuff. Just want to make sure I get it. And Mrs. Sellel also for allowing us to do this. So, without further ado. The night Max wore her wolf suit and made mischief of one kind and another. Her mother called her Wild Thing, and Max said she was sent to bed without eating anything. That very night, in Max's room, a forest grew and grew and grew until her ceiling hung with vines and the walls became the world all around. And an ocean tumbled by with a private boat for Max. And she sailed off through night and day, in and out of weeks, and almost over a year to where the wild things are. And when she came to the place where the wild things are, they roared their terrible roars and gnashed their terrible teeth and rolled their terrible eyes and showed their terrible claws till Max said, "Be still," and tamed them with the magic trick of staring into all their yellow eyes without blinking once. And they were frightened and they called her the most wild thing of all, and made her queen of all wild things.
And now, let the wild rumpus begin. Now, stop.
Max said, and she sent the wild things off to bed without their supper. And Max, the queen of all wild things, was lonely and wanted to be where someone loved her best of all. So, from far away across the world, she smelled good things to eat. So she gave up being queen of where the wild things are. But the wild things cried.
Oh, please don't go. We love you so.
Max said.
No.
So the wild things roared their terrible roars and gnashed their terrible teeth and rolled their terrible eyes and showed their terrible claws.
Yeah, that's not gonna work.
But Max stepped into her private boat and waved goodbye. And sailed back over a year. In and out of weeks. And through a day. And into the night. Of her very own room, where she found supper waiting for her. And it was still hot. The end. At this time, I'd like to introduce each of our cast members one at a time. We're going to start with the trees. Mr. Willem Naughton, come take a bow. Shelley Hoyt. Adam Rhodes. Eve Batista. And her pet owl. Kyle Barrian. And as our ocean, Ty Gardner. Julian Morton. Melanie Villa, who also played the part of the mother. And Emmanuel Shim. As our sea serpent, Lucas Smith. That's how we got that guy. And here come our wild starting with Jason Pasco. Justin Schofield. Protus Mayunga. David Troger. Jasper Siegel Laurier. Cole Madison. Elias Sheldon. And Corbin Smith. As our sun and moon, Hazel Storch. We're also introducing her. And as our puppy, Paige Yeri. Isn't she cute, everyone? And the star of our show, who played Max, Coco Asada. And we do have one more special guest. Special thanks to Tiara Ruffin. You may have seen her up front handing out invite programs when you first walked in. So. Hopefully she was the first smiling face you saw as you came in today. All right, everybody. So at this time, we're going to need a couple minutes to switch over to the next play. Some behind-the-scenes stuff is going to go on. So if you could just talk amongst yourselves, give us about 5 minutes, and we'll switch over. Once again, thank you for coming. Wild Things, Where the Wild Things Are by Maurice Center.